So when it comes to workflows, they're easy. It's an easy way for you to be able to automate certain things and make it efficient. When it comes to invoices, you do have the ability to set up a workflow if you want to have someone receive a payment or an invoice to make a payment as soon as you set them up as a matter. So showing us what that looks like really quickly here, I'm going to go ahead and take us back into Lawcus. And to do this, you want to make sure that you're inside of automations. And when you're in automations, you would just do add workflow, and it would then take you through the stages of how to create it. So I'm going to first show us the one that I had set up, and that's right here. So when a matter is created, the system will then search the system for the client and then create a flat fee for that particular client. And then it's going to actually create an invoice for that particular flat fee. And then it's going to send an email out to the client to make them make that payment. And this is triggered by the new matter being created. So when you're inside of the workflow, the first thing that you would do is then select the trigger here, matters created. And if you have the trigger by anyone, that's going to make it easy for it to be able to be initiated and started. You want to make sure that you always name your workflow, because having a name is going to allow you to be able to identify it easily. And if you have a description, you can add that in here. Once you have that, you will then go ahead and hit continue. There are some entry rules that you can even set up if you wanted to, and you can add conditions, but keeping it simple, as long as you create the matter and have it be created as the start trigger and have anyone, you would then go ahead and hit continue, and you would then set up where this happens. So if it's from the pipeline default and the stage is case assessment or whatever your stage would be, you would make sure that you have that set up. So if you have a different pipeline, you would make sure that you select the appropriate pipeline that's applicable for this particular matter type. And then whatever stage that follows up first within that particular pipeline, you would then go ahead and select that. And then you would select continue. From here, I then had it search for a client. So then it brings up the option for you to use this arrow key here with the 3 dots. When you click on it, it brings up this use matter value from trigger. It brings up all these options. And as long as you select matter client, it's going to search for that matter client. And then you're going to continue to next. From here, you want to make sure that you have a firm understanding of like what your flat fee would be for that particular client or matter type, and you're going to enter that information here. So if you know that you naturally always take a flat fee amount upfront of $10,000 for litigation cases, for example, you would then create this flat fee here, and then you would have it be you would set up your trigger date, and it would add the date for that. Now from here, you would then also make sure that you select the matter ID, and your matter ID is going to come from the trigger. So all you would need to do is select it here. Then you would select who the user is that would be applying this flat fee, and then you can add anyone that's listed under the users here. In addition to that, if you had a particular category that you wanted to apply, you can then add that in here. And any discounts that you want to have reflect on the invoice, you can have it show up here. Now, this is the description of what that flat fee will look like. And then you can hit continue and next. From here, I had it add in the matter client as the billing contact. And then you can also add in the matter ID here as well. Here, it's not required, so that's why I didn't add it here. You see the anything that has an asterisk, you have to add it, and so those are the things that I focused on. In addition to that, you can add the issue date, and then you can also add the due date. So if your due date deferred from your standard due date for the firm, you can then have the due date be different by adding in it to be whatever number of days from the trigger date. So the trigger date is just the date that this automation gets triggered. So when the matter is converted, that's the trigger date. And then you would go ahead and hit continue and next. And you have now what's set up here is an email. So you have the option to send an email with the invoice to the client, and the invoice link is included. So what you'll do is select the person that's going to be the one to send this invoice out. Then you're going to also set up the who's going to receive it, and you just put in Matter Client. You then also have the option to CC other people. If other people in the firm need to be notified once the invoice is sent out, you can add additional recipients here, and you can also make sure, if you wanted to blind copy someone, you can also add them in here and just go ahead and select the person, and it will blind copy them. If you wanted to remove anyone, you do have the option to hit the trash bin on the right hand side, and it takes them off. I set this up to be able to be personalized, so I added in the first name from the search client trigger. And once you hit the use client value here, you then want to select the first name, and then you can add in whatever else you want as a subject. I added in the person's first name again here, and then I also ensure that I added in some information to send the email out with the link. So I told them that, you know, the link is below for them to go ahead and pay their invoice. Also here, you'll notice that the default signature is set up. So as long as your signature is set up for the firm, the default signature can be applied, and then you will go ahead and hit save. And you'll see here that we basically walk through everything that encompasses setting up this workflow.